It was a challenging game to report on, by the way. I think I deleted 2 intros before coming up with a third one within about 2 minutes. I've been pretty sceptical about Ruben Amorim and the reign, but I have to say I think in the last month or so there has been clear improvement, and I felt yesterday was part of that. It was, of course, a position that they a winning position that they squandered, and Amorim talked about that afterwards. He said we've got to get more ruthless as a team. We've got to sort of smell when an opposition's vulnerable, and he talked about the stadium and Spurs were there for the taking, and that's actually good that he's showing that ambition. He was more disappointed having got the last minute goal than Thomas Frank was having conceded it. I think there's more resilience. The lines are a bit closer, there's less spaces that opponents are finding against United. Just the quality of Mbeumo makes a difference. He was a bit, different class to Kolo Muani for Spurs. And it was progress, but you have to then remind yourself this is still Manchester United, and we're talking about 5 games without defeat being, whoa, that's amazing. And clearly the club's got to get to a point that's way beyond that, but it's the beginnings of something, I think.
Yeah, on Amorim, the last time I was sat in this seat, I think uttered the words, Manchester United will always have enough good players to keep bad managers in a job, and thankfully you guys clipped that up and put it on your socials, and Manchester United then won 3 on the spin. So
is that your hands off Eddie Howe kind of?
But didn't that almost prove my point? The fact that I did sit here and say they've got good players, they've got Cunha, they've got Mbeumo, they've got Bruno Fernandes. They then went 5 unbeaten. That talks to that point. But yesterday we saw what Manchester United are under Amorim. In a year, has there really been any great progress with identity? I don't think there has been. The summer recruitment was good. Of all the players, and there was a lot of Premier League to Premier League transfers this summer because of PSR. We're seeing more of that now, whereas we didn't 5 or 10 years ago. I think Brian Mbeumo, out of all of them, was perhaps the best. And yesterday, he carried Manchester United again. But under Amorim, I don't see yet what they are really trying to be. He knows what he wants them to be. He's absolutely wedded to this system and this identity and the strategy, but I don't really see it on the pitch. And as I touched on at the top of the show there, this felt like a game, a draw, where both teams lost.
Jonathan, I think I do see. I see what he's trying to do, and obviously, he's not fully executed it yet, and the inconsistency is still a maddening problem. I think I do see what he's trying to do. I think what he's recognised, Amorim, is that United are not. They don't currently have the midfield to be able to control games the way he would like, and the 3-4-2-1 system. If you can't control midfield, if you don't have the personnel who can control midfield, you are playing basketball. And packing that front 3 with the talent, with individual players who can create things, who can create chances out of nothing. I think that's what we've seen from them. We've seen a lot of late goals, we've seen a lot of kind of streaky goals, and obviously a huge amount of leaks in the defence. That they're still really brittle at the back. And that's something we already kind of knew about them. But and obviously the consistency is not there. But I think I kind of see what he's trying to do, even though he hasn't really properly executed it yet.
Well, you mentioned what United are like just now, games of basketball. If you look at the Mail on Sunday, Riyadh Al Samurai was at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium as well. The headline is, "This was Amorim's United in a nutshell, utter chaos." United extended their unbeaten run to 5, Jonathan, but it still felt like light accounting. For now, United will have to settle for lesser symbols of progress. That said, even if we talk about utter chaos, you could almost relate that to the league as well, because aside of Arsenal, who we've been talking about, United are 2 points off second.
Yeah.
Is this a unique opportunity potentially that the Champions League might not be out of sight for Manchester United, even though we're talking about United that hasn't settled, that hasn't really shown enough so far this season?
Look, I think it's in play for a lot of clubs because it actually looks like the Championship table at the moment, doesn't it, with so many teams separated by 1 or 2 points near the top. Whether United will have that consistency over the long term, I'm not sure. I don't think there's enough chaos about Manchester United. Not too much. I think they need, going forward, to loosen up a little bit out of this quite rigid system. John's right about the fact they're trying to almost not win games the traditional United way by controlling the match. They're trying to. It's a much more direct style of play because of the formation. I think they need a bit more creativity going forward. But I just think that the recruitment maybe is the biggest thing that's helped them at the moment. Like the goalkeeper, finally they've got a keeper. He kept them in the game, and that's
unbeaten since he's been there.
Unbeaten since he's been there. And, that's actually a novelty for United, having a reliable goalkeeper in recent years. And then, as I say, Mbeumo, Cunha didn't have his best game, but he was asked to play number 9, which isn't his position, but he still affected it. And it's that thing that Ralph Rangnick talked about, the open heart surgery. It's a club that did need a lot of work on it, and it's going to be transfer window after transfer window. And I suppose, I know, Craig, you're saying you don't see what's happening under Amorim. I just said exactly the same a couple of weeks ago. The last couple of weeks have just given me enough to think, okay, there is finally a year on, finally I think there's just bits of improvement that you could stick with them a bit longer.
Is that not just good players playing well, though? Is that just Brian and Bremo papering over the cracks? And I actually think Manchester United's recruitment in the summer was good, but it wasn't good enough to the point whereby the opportunity is there for a team who finished 16th last year to gate crash the top 4 this season. I think the Premier League, Jonathan touched on it earlier, the days of the top 2 or 3 running away with records, points totals, that is gone. The Premier League is good. At tea time yesterday, I looked at the table, there was 7 points separating 13th and 2nd. All you've got to do is string a couple of wins together, and Manchester United are there to a point. I think the one signing that is really going to come back and haunt them. Ruben Amorim'S spoken about some frailties at the back there, but goals can paper over the cracks. The 2/3 of the way there. Mbeumo and Cunha are fantastic. They've got Benjamin Sesko terribly wrong. I was watching the game with one of my little boys yesterday, and Sesko went through on goal in the moment before he was injured. One of my boys remarked it was a tremendous camera angle. It had him coming face on. He said he doesn't look like he wants to score. And myself and Jonathan spoke about this earlier. There isn't that belief there. There isn't that nastiness. There isn't that hunger. There's something about his body language that just screams insecure, unsettled, lacking in confidence. And when he went off injured, now, I hope he's okay. I couldn't really identify the point at which he did get injured, and we hope it isn't serious. Ruben Amorim spoke afterwards like it might be. But even before that, he didn't look like a player who fancied the fight, and he hasn't in any of his games so far. If they'd have spent that £70-80 million on a proper centre forward, given what else they've got there, we could have been talking about a team who could finish top 4, top 3.
Like Voltemade.
Well, we'll get on to him. Yeah.
It is early, though, isn't it? Is it too early to judge?
I think Sesko is not. I mean, I think he's looked like short of confidence. He looked really short of confidence yesterday. I think the issue with Sesko is that at Leipzig he was a player who, with his pace and his movement, he would try and avoid contact. As a striker, you either relish the contact. You're either a Kane or a Drogba or a Haaland who tries to win the contact, or you use your pace and movement to avoid the contact and get into unconventional positions. Sesko is a 6'3" striker with pace and movement, but I think he's being forced into a role where he is being made to he's being put into contact again and